Welcome guys to the CryptoWise channel. My name is Dave. If you're new to the channel, we talk about macro technical analysis, facts, and the charts staying cool, calm, and focused. No hype, no news, no narrative, just cool, calm, and focused. We're going to be talking about hype today without getting hyped about it. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. I'm going to look at some short-term price action and the outlook of where Bitcoin is going in the next couple weeks to couple months. Let's dive into it. Hype is a coin that launched back in November 2024. This is the most price data we have, so can't really make a proper assessment when it comes to macro technical analysis because we don't even have 4 years of data or 3 years. We actually have, what, a year and a half? December 2024. I mean, yeah, a year and a half-ish. A little bit more than a year and a half. So it's not giving us a lot of reliability, but we can see that we're in an uptrend. We are in an uptrend. We can see where we launched. We can see where the Bitcoin all-time high is, and we can see that hype did not give a crap and wanted to, excuse me. Hype did not give a crap, but decided to dump 56% with Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin crashed much harder in January, hype decided to go the other direction and said, screw you, Bitcoin. I'm not going to listen to you. 256% from that pivot point. I'll show you that pivot point I'm talking about. It's basically this one right here. This one here. This pivot low here, November 2025. November 2025. From there, Bitcoin still dropped 26%. Well, I mean, just straight to this low here in February, 26% almost. And if we compare those dates, there's that peak low here. Oh, wait, let me double check. No, November 17th, 2025. Where's that low? Oh, okay, so it was here. So it did just go further. Hype is basically in its own world. So this peak low here was Bitcoin's peak low. So this low here was Bitcoin's peak low. And then hype's peak low was the 19th of January 2026, which was just about when Bitcoin started this big crash from this bear flag. So while Bitcoin was crashing from here, about 30%, hype decided to go on an uptrend and even did at its highest during that time, 90%. So clearly in its own world. And since that peak low here in the 19th of January, yeah, 220%. So it doesn't seem to give a shiitake what Bitcoin is doing. So because it doesn't give shiitakes, it wants to just continue being an uptrend, and it is in an uptrend, right? Higher lows, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high. And as long as the higher high is respected and the higher low is respected, it continues to be an uptrend. That's how we assess this. The only one we can do. Don't have any targets to the upside or downside. It's not in a bear market, even though Bitcoin is. It's rare, does happen, and I've talked about this before, and hype is a perfect example of an altcoin being in its own universe. So I'm not going to give you a bear market low prediction because it's in an uptrend. It's in a bull market. Hype's in a bull market while Bitcoin's in a downtrend. Like, that's, yeah. Not going to give you a bear market low in this video, even though that's what I was desiring to do until I looked at the chart. So yeah, short term even doesn't look bearish at all. So I can give a quick short term analysis. This low here at 53, as long as that's respected, then the pressure's to the upside. And we can even see that these higher lows seem to be holding on the daily. So if it comes down to test this level, it could just continue holding and go higher. But if it breaks it, then this would be a kind of a double top pattern that would suggest that it's going to go down and retest some lower areas, potentially even into, well, the first place would be these lows here, or these levels here, boom, those ones right here. So if it did break down, a back test here, and it might just come right back up. If this level here breaks, then it probably more likely that it reaches this upward sloping trend line on the weekly time frame before coming back up, which would probably be, my suspicion would be a larger crash that Bitcoin would be doing. But who knows? Hype clearly is impervious to Bitcoin crashes, so but it does go down with the trend, and we can see if I overlay as well, hype's a bit unpredictable, but we can see that it has been following Bitcoin's price action. This blue line is Bitcoin's overlay, the Bitcoin Bitstamp chart on the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame, see when Bitcoin was crashing here, that was what I was talking about, 19th of January, and hype went the other direction. Even on this crash, hype still continued to go up, which was this blue line here, which was in May. So it seems that there's an inverse correlation between Bitcoin crashing and hype going up. I wonder why that is so far. But there's iterations where it also follows the price exactly. So I just want to say, do not take any assumption that when Bitcoin crashes, hype is going up. That's not what I'm saying. And I also wouldn't assume that if Bitcoin crashes, hype's going to go down with it, because there's clearly half of its life at doing the opposite of Bitcoin and a half of its life doing what Bitcoin does. So something to be very careful with. Very tricky coin to analyze. It's a little bit, maybe it's just on its own little rally here for a little bit during a bear market, which does happen. But coins like this, I will say that I have seen coins do this before, and eventually when the years go by, it ends up following Bitcoin. So that's something to note. I think it was Caspa that did something like that in the middle of a bear market. It had a big rally. If it wasn't Caspa, it was another coin. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there are coins that do that, and then eventually they end up following the cycle that Bitcoin is doing. So yeah, no targets to the downside, no targets to the upside. I mean, I could give them a potential short-term target. If this is a triangle, if I go on the 2 daily time frame, I wouldn't say that that's not a really reliable looking triangle. Maybe. What are the Bollinger Bands saying? It's starting to tighten up. This could just continue to the upside, and this could act like a triangle. It doesn't really look like one that well, but on the 2-day, we can, take out the wicks, something like this. This is a kind of a triangle sort of formation. It's not the prettiest. But yeah, so we could see a target like this out of this triangle at around about 98 from where it is now, 50% move. But in terms of macro outlooks, I don't know. It's a really tough one. It could just continue going up while Bitcoin's in its bottoming phase, and then maybe when Bitcoin bottoms, it rolls over. Like, it could literally be in its own world, so it's a bit unpredictable. Fundamentals would be something to look into as to why it's behaving this way, and we'll probably have a lot more answers at this point. But yeah, that's my analysis on hype. Yeah. So Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we talked about this 3-wave move down. 1, 2, 3, and it hasn't been completed yet. I did talk about the last wave of this 3-wave happening in 3 waves. So it could be stalling here because it's working on getting that second wave in. So this could be wave 1 of 3 waves for the 3rd wave, right? So just like we had here, this entire wave 1 in 3 waves, all right? And we had this entire wave 2 in 3 waves. The wave 3 is not going to be any different in potentially, well, it could be 5 waves, but it could be done in 3 waves, right? And maybe the bottom is closer. Well, this third wave could be very aggressive too as well. It could go a lot further. The third waves are usually the strongest to the downside. So, and that would complete the larger third wave. So that being said, there's a couple things that's telling me that we could be reversing. If I look at the RSI, here. So the RSI is showing us that the momentum of this entire consolidation here, we had this entire consolidation here, is now flipping bullish. We have this resistance here from these 2 peaks here on the RSI. RSI's momentum. When this candle closes here, if it closes while the RSI is above where it is, like is where it's at now or higher, then this whole consolidation will flip as positive momentum, basically serving as a leading indicator for the price to continue up. And we would likely see a July rally. Could be into mid-July, or it could be into all of July, into August. That is yet to be seen, but there is a possibility that that could happen. And we could go all the way into the 0.5 fib. So if I measure from this prior swing low here, I'm counting this as an ABC correction to the downside. That's Elliott wave stuff, which I don't really want to get into right now, but actually, yeah, no, I do need to get into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 wave moves to the downside is trend direction. So we're definitely in the downside direction. Well, when we have a 5 wave move down, we usually get an ABC correction to the upside, which could lead us into the 0.5 fib or even into the 618, depending on how aggressive this is. These are normal targets for a wave 2 pullback before the wave 3 commences, which would be very aggressive to the downside. And that would give us 3 waves, large, right? So this 5 wave move down is wave 1, ABC, and wave 2 as a corrective pullback, and then a large move down in wave 3, getting us at least to this 48K area, fulfilling the bear flag target that I've been talking about. It's a very possible scenario. And I'll give you guys a bit of info as to why July rallies happen. We do see July rallies in prior iterations of bear markets. So if I zoom out, get the RSI out of the way, and show you July in these phases of the market, we see over here July. This is the same phase of the market, the bear market, just before we get into the bottoming phase. 13th of July on a full moon, green is full, blue is new moon. And we moved up all the way into the end of July and even pushed into an August peak, mid-August, until we actually had our pivot to go lower. Right, that was the bear market of 2022. If I show you the bear market before that, prior to the bottom, we see here, full moon. This time it was right at the beginning of July. We had a full moon on the 29th of June. So, you know, July happened 2 days later. And we actually rallied all the way into the end of July again. This one happened to be full moon. But either way, that's 2 iterations where the entire month of July was upside. This case, yeah, we just kind of crashed right into August. So, yeah, that's 2 iterations where July is bullish in a bear market. So, and if we look at prior one before that again, excuse me. before we bottomed. November. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. That's January, December, November, October, September. In this case, we were topping out, so it was a little bit different. Let's see, July. Well, we pushed up from this June low into the 2nd of July. You know, we stayed up there until the 24th. So we did move a little bit higher from a June low to July. But this is also in context of structure. We can see that this was a massive triple top pattern. So that ended up forming later, of course. I mean, it didn't look like that here, but yeah. So this one didn't play out as exact as the other two, but it is common to see it's 66% that we see a full July in the out of all the out of these, well, 3 out of the prior 2 bear markets. No, the prior 3 bear markets. 66% of the time we see a full July upside before continuing down. So that's why I think it's possible that we see something similar, a move into that 69K area, or even back into this downward sloping resistance line is a potentiality. If we close that 12-hour RSI like I was talking about, that'll be the first indication that this is a local low, and then more upside is likely. So, all right, guys, if that's helpful, like, subscribe, share, appreciate the comments down below. All right, peace.